Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
There is an absurd poetry to my situation. Physician, heal thyself.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
I'm not some doe-eyed student, Edgar. I understand we both have something to gain from this relationship.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Do you need something, Jonathan?
I have just a few questions.
Then ask away. I'm at your service, Doctor.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory, William Bishop, I believe, was he a vampire?
He was a Skald, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification. Some think them a subspecies of vampire, others something else.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a Skald?
A Skald is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
How do Skalds come into existence?
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
Since you seem quite the expert on vampires, what could you tell me about my condition and how it came about?
As men of science, our first step is always to start with what we know. Forget the myths, the hackneyed scrawlings, and the penny dreadfuls. They do not scratch the surface of the truth you now find yourself in.
The sun. The morning following my transformation. Its rays burned me. There was pain, smoke, and my skin blackened.
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
Must I take a life to live?
You are a vampire. You feed, and blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
Since I'm the one working for you, what should I know about Pembroke Hospital?
Well, for many years, we have been the only medical facility in this part of town that people can rely on. We support the community here, as well as provide health care.
Where do we stand today?
Oh, to be honest, we cope on a day-to-day basis. The first wave of the Spanish flu last summer took us by surprise. We lack many of the basic necessities needed.
What do you expect of me?
What we need is hope. You were a soldier. This is a war. This white coat's still a uniform. We fight to help the poor, the sick of the East End, the forgotten.
You mentioned something about a secret society. A brotherhood, if I recall. Could you elaborate?
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged to monitor and report vampire activity in England as impartial scientific observers.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks and the questions you ask.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events in motion.
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe you are as supernatural as a lion is to a gazelle.
We'll see each other again soon, Edgar.
I thought last summer's epidemic was difficult.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt one?
Excuse my impertinence, Your Ladyship. This is not an interrogation. I assure you that this line of questioning is in your best interest.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been treating my condition with a revolutionary technique of blood transfusion. It seems you are a specialist in the domain.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition.
I thought last time this epidemic was difficult.
They know we are overwhelmed by this horrifying epidemic.
The pain. It's here again.
Simpletons, these nurses. Bred with no respect. What? What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Please, calm down, madam. I assure you that I am highly qualified. I'm just back from war duty.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones? Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many vile undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined to say you enjoy this type of idle gossip.
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these bitches would let you freeze to death before getting you a blanket.
I assure you, madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical error.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round. The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones. Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
She could have been telling the truth about the mysterious man.
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
No matter how you feel about her, Miss Jones deserves our help.
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what keeps that old crone alive.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
A giant morgue disguised as a hospital. That's Pembroke nowadays.
traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. It's locked.
I will not let you down, my boy.
I met him in New York once.
If only there were more of us, with less resignation and more determination.
Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reed. Still working at night, I see. I like that.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting, one way or another.
You're lucky to be alive, Mr. Cox. I hope you're starting to take better care of yourself.
This place is full of sickness and decay. How could I get better in such a dump?
Consider yourself lucky that I'm treating all of my patients equally. But don't push your luck.
Don't play the innocent with me. I'm sure you have good reasons to act this way. And Also, weaknesses that can be exploited.
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in the hospital?
Blackmail? That's not my style. Too risky. The black market, though. Now that's where the money is.
How is your hospitalization going, Mr. Cox?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. As long as I'm treated all right, I'll be fine.
What's wrong with the hospital?
Come on, Dr. Reed. The place is a dump. Smelly, sad, and dirty.
But you're alive thanks to the efforts and dedication of the staff here, aren't you?
What are you expecting, a medal? I thought that saving lives was just part of the job. Must be an unsatisfactory profession at this time, I'm sure.
What's wrong with the Pembroke staff?
That bastard you sent to bring me here, Milton. I thought he was going to break all my bones before I reached my bed.
I see. Any other smart comments?
The nurses aren't too ugly. Especially that foxy one, Nurse Crane. Pretty brunette, tough attitude, all like that.
Do you ever think about that poor fellow I saw you push in the water?
The wound he gave me will make sure I don't forget him. Still fucking hurts. Boss had cut me good.
What did he want? Revenge?
I recently had to kill his brother. Poor arsehole thought it would be easy to return the favour.
Perhaps you're right. Maybe only the strongest will survive in these dark times.
If there must be only one, in the end, make no mistake, I'll be the winner.
That man was determined to murder you. You almost died.
What a surprise. The first time I met him, he nearly shit himself. Fucking coward. I guess revenge gives you balls.
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like the back of my hand, Doc. I know its streets, who to pay, who to avoid, and who to bully. I won't get caught.
We can't escape the consequences of our actions. The past catches up with us in the end.
I ain't afraid of death. I don't hide who I am. I live my life honestly, which is more than I could say for most folks.
And who are you, then?
I'm the leader of the Wet Boot Boys. One day, I'll leave this shitty place and punch in the face all who thought I would not come back.
Have you heard of any
Blackmail?
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Have you heard about any blackmail going on in this hospital?
Blackmail? Nonsense.
Tell me, Waverley, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Other people may say that's too conservative a point of view.
Conservative? And what are you going to say to Mr. Fiddick if he loses his arm because of the operation? Because that's what's going to happen if the surgery is a failure.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Have you heard any talk of blackmail going on in the hospital?
If you're running some official inquiry, you had better question the patients. They know more than the staff, especially old Miss Jones.
Do you need my medical attention, dear colleague?
You don't have to worry about me, Dr. Reed. I am here to assist you, not to be a burden.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
I will not let you down, my boy. I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Have you heard talk of any blackmail here at the hospital?
No. Nothing.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
When I get back, I'll have a word with Tom. He's really pissed me off this time. Hey, Doc.
Am I right to assume your wife's letter pissed you off, Clay?
I was so mad I threw away the knife she got me when we got married.
Your wife gave you a knife as a wedding present.
That knife has always been my lucky charm. If I'd had it in my hand when I got stabbed on that pier, I'd not have been wounded.
Do you want it back?
I don't need it here, but if you'd be kind enough to bring it to me, I'd be really grateful.
A grateful Clay Cox? I might just find your knife and bring it back to you to see that happen.
I can give you directions, but I'd be surprised if you managed to find it. My hideout isn't meant to be found easily.
A lucky charm? I never would have taken you as the superstitious type.
We all have our flaws, Doc. Mine's to have my weapon of choice for when the really dirty business comes around.
What can you tell me about your marriage, Clay?
Marriage is the sweetest cage, they say. Well, I found myself locked in one with a wild animal.
You mean your wife keeps you on your toes?
No, I mean, we both have claws and we both love to bite.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
Jesus, I've never seen so many people dying at the same time.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in this hospital?
I have no time for such triviality, my dear colleague. We're here to save lives.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Perhaps I should have considered the offer from that Callaghan fellow.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Have you seen a strange man visiting any of the nurses here?
I've never heard of such a thing, Doctor.
Do you know if any of the hospital staff have criminal backgrounds?
The people who work here all come from very different backgrounds, Doctor. Just like the patients.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett in our situation?
Perhaps you did it with the best intentions, Nurse Brannigan, but you took a great risk. Must I remind you that a man died?
You mean you've never made a mistake? Never covered your tracks? Come on, Doctor. I wasn't born yesterday.
I've decided that I won't reveal Dr. Tippett's, shall we say, misdemeanor.
I'm so glad you share my point of view. Dr. Tippett is a brilliant practitioner. We most definitely need his know-how.
I hope you're right. This is a huge risk we're taking.
Dr. Tippett must regain his confidence. Please, keep this decision between you and me. He doesn't need to know you found out.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
If only I were young again. Just a dozen years or so.
Please, sir. I need help bad.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Newton Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find him anywhere.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the Pembroke Hospital. Please, calm down and give me more details.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but... well, we had a disagreement. And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them at all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. Do you need medical attention, sir?
No thanks, sir. Unless you're able to get rid of every rat in London.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
It started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears, my fingers, lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and saved me.
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, you can talk him round.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course.
War was... well, you know, sir. The stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we're in the same boat to France. We've stuck together ever since.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself.
You're sure you don't come back with me?
Nah, I have to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals or doctors.
Well then, when you go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
What is it?
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
Crush the leech! Are you deaf? Die, burning! Weapons ready! We found one! Watch it!
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move. I cannot enter.